Oh, this is gonna be a good one, people. What counts and how do you play? What are the pros and cons? And what the hell is... So many questions, people. And I'm gonna try to give you some answers. Follow through, follow through, follow through, follow through, follow through. Follow through, people. I do believe the follow through is really important because it just gives you that extra little bit of quality in your stroke and in your cue action. And probably a little bit of extra quality when it comes to certain type of shots and skills. But I would never force my technique, for example, onto another player or student. I drop my elbow. I've always done it this way. That's the way I learned it. It's natural to me. It feels right for me. It doesn't mean it's right for anybody else. So it's really important as a trainer and as a coach to understand that each student has their own special individual technique. The length of the follow through depends on you. So first of all, what is a follow through? Let me give you an example from another sport.
Would you ever throw a ball like this or shoot a football like that? I don't think so. I think it would look a little bit more like this or like that.
I think you see my point, right? So as soon as the ball leaves your hand, you're not stopping right there. Your hand actually still keeps moving in a certain direction. Why? Because every movement has a starting point and a finish point, okay? And this is the same with follow through in pool. So the cue actually hits the cue ball and it doesn't stop right there. It moves through the cue ball and keeps moving a little bit forward. And it happens in a lot of sports, tennis, golf, even soccer. When you hit the ball, your leg still moves forward after the contact. So now the question is, why play a follow through? I also believe that when you look at certain shots then, they feel or they look smoother, they look softer. There's a certain, you give the cue ball a certain touch that I think is because of the follow through. The follow through got nothing to do really with the contact because the follow through actually happens when the cue ball is long gone. But because of that movement, the acceleration, deceleration of the cue is smoother. And I think you can see that in the cue ball. And I'm going to explain to you why. When you play the shot, you want to hit the cue ball with a certain amount of speed. Therefore, you have to accelerate the cue to a certain point. And you want the speed to be right on point when you hit the cue ball. If you play this shot and you stop the cue right after contact, it feels so uncomfortable, you would actually have to decelerate a little bit before you hit the cue ball. Otherwise, it's almost impossible to stop that movement right after.
When this, for example, happens, is very often a sign of a missing follow-through or a bad follow-through. And when players don't really have a good follow-through, the shots very often seem to be a bit more tense. They seem also a bit harder, so they're using more power and less quality, and that can lead, of course, to a lot of mistakes. So the goal is really to go through the cue ball in one fluent motion and don't stop before. And the length of the follow-through is totally up to you. And remember, playing with more quality means you need less power, and that can help you with certain type of shots. Even though I didn't hit this ball very well, the chances are much higher that it goes in with a high quality shot. So first I'm playing this ball with less follow through, and you can automatically see that there is much more power in the shot, but I don't get that far with the cue ball. Now I'm playing it with much more follow through, and it seems smoother, and I get much further with the cue ball. Here I want to draw the cue ball back to the right side of the 8. But in this case I really have to play high quality, because as you can see now, when I play a lot of speed, the cue ball does not have enough time to grab, no matter how much draw I play. So I have to really play less speed and a lot more quality, and therefore I think the follow through is essential. I don't think you can really play this shot well without a follow through at all. So try it out. I think it's a really nice skill shot. And if you can do that, congratulations. And here's another good example, and I love this shot. In this case, I want to avoid the short rail, so I have to draw the cue ball and make sure it does not hit the short rail. Here I made it a little bit more difficult to challenge myself.
So what counts as follow through? I say everything after the cue ball counts already as follow through. But of course there are many different variations out there. So you can have like this distance, or this one, or like myself, complete elbow drop. So every distance counts. Are there different types of follow through? Yes, because it depends on the shot and the situation that you have to play. Think of golf, for example. The follow through when they're putting a ball on the green is much shorter than when they're on the driving range. And that's the same with pool. It depends on the shot, on the situation, on the speed that you want to play, and even if the situation allows you to play a follow through. So according to the situation, you always have to adjust your follow through. So let's say you want to work on your follow through and you don't know how to. I would suggest starting with just single balls, no object balls. So the first exercise would be to just play or pocket the ball in the corner pocket, and you're really playing a follow through. Different distances to see how it feels for you. But the most important thing is learning how to go through the ball in a fluid motion. Because very often it happens that when people are not used to playing follow through, they hit the cue ball, stop for like a split of a second, and then they do the follow through. And that's not really a follow through. It's like a forcing through, like a fake through, fake follow through. And that's not gonna help. So you actually really have to learn how to maneuver the cue, the shaft through the cue ball. And that might take some time. So I would suggest just setting up those balls, and you go down. And now the follow through depends on you. You can try out different lengths, of course, and then you do just normal stroking, and then back, and then do the follow through. And please also understand that the distance of your bridge hand matters when it comes to playing follow through. Because if you already have a very long bridge hand, then of course it's gonna be much more difficult to play a long follow through, because you only have a certain length that's possible, right? So if you have a long hand bridge distance and then you play a follow through, you actually almost have to drop the elbow in order to play a follow through. And now look, you're already here with the cue. I mean, that's a bit too much, even for me. So just always keep in mind, you might want to think about shortening the bridge hand a little bit, so now you get some extra length for the follow through. What I always found really interesting working with students was that even though they were playing this drill, they still sometimes stop the cue a little bit. It's like they told me, it's like, well, they kind of see the ball and it's so automatic that they do it. They can't even change that. Feels like the brain already learned it this way. So what I did then was I said, well, let's play this drill with your eyes closed. You're trying to trick your head a little bit. By closing your eyes, your brain does not get the information about this ball, and you might be able to play the follow through. You get in line, and as soon as you're lined up, you close your eyes, you do the stroking, and now play the follow through. When you close your eyes, you have to rely much more on your feeling, because your eyes don't see anything, of course, so your brain does not get some information. So you have to rely on your feeling. And that actually made it easier for my students sometimes to play the follow through more natural. Just a little tip, try it out if it works for you. And another little tip, don't forget the mental side in our sport. So you want to play a follow through, you're new to this, you don't know how to do it, and it's not really working out. Whenever you play this exercise, also tell your brain what you want to do. Before you go down, or while you're going down, you're thinking in your head, you're telling yourself, follow through, or go through the ball. Something that will help your brain focus on what's going to happen and what you want to do. That's it with the follow through. I hope you understand it now a little bit more, and always remember, find your own stroke and technique. Don't copy other players, no matter how good they are. Find your own way. And in that matter, have fun, and I talk to you soon.